All right guys, so this is the Beitong Zeus 2 controller. So this is Beitong's new flagship controller right here. As you see, it looks a little different from my Beitong Zeus controllers from the three that you see right here. And I'm actually really excited to open this one. So got my scissors, let's cut this wrapper off. Okay guys, so now that that is off, let's open up this box and see what's inside. Wow. So looks like immediately you get the controller. It is interesting. It's different from the Beitong Zeus controller. The Zeus 2 has definitely changed some things. So here is the original Zeus and here's the Zeus 2. But the first thing I immediately noticed was that the joysticks are different. These have more of a different texture to it, which actually is more grippy compared to the original Zeus controller. I also noticed that the start and select or start and back button are not like these little touch pads, except they're actual buttons, which is actually pretty cool. And they added a third button, which is this AI button. So actually let me grab this controller because this controller you might be able to see a little bit better. Looking at the bottom of the controller, they still have the FM button plus the 3.5mm audio jack. But it also looks like they moved the profile button down to here, and they also moved the gyro switch down to over here now, instead of everything being on the back of the controller right here. Speaking of the back of the controller, let's see. Oh, I also noticed that they got like a nice little rubberized grip on here on the bottom of the shell, which is actually really cool. They still have the 4 back buttons, but it looks like they added trigger stoppers. Looks like these may be two-way trigger stoppers by the looks of it. Hold on. So, two-way trigger stoppers. Here is full squeeze. And this is with the trigger stopper on. It stops. I'll say like 30%. So, both on, yep. Yeah, this is about like 30%. But that's pretty cool. And also, looks like that's why they move everything down here, because they made space for 2 more programmable buttons. So which means that this controller has 6 programmable buttons compared to the old Zeus controller that had 4 programmable buttons. So yeah, this is pretty interesting controller. ABXY feels nice. This is definitely mechanical. D-pad feels nice. It's definitely nice and clicky, but not as loud as the original Beitong Zeus controller, because this one is loud and this one, yeah, a lot less quiet. So that's really nice. Yeah, let me set this controller to the side for now. I'm going to move the pink one out the way. Set this here. Let's see what else we get in the box. So the first thing I can see is we get a pamphlet with, yep, the whole pamphlet's in Chinese. And I kind of expect that because I got this from AliExpress and this is the only place you can get the controller. So the fact that it is a Chinese pamphlet doesn't surprise me at all. So yeah, by the looks of the pamphlet, it looks like they have instructions on how to take off the joysticks, take off the shell and replace the D-pad, plus some of the software, the charging stand, which unfortunately I do not have. I didn't have have money to buy a $300 bundle, so I got the Plus version, not the Plus 2. And yeah, that's it for the booklet. Let's set this over here. We're gonna open this up. So it looks like this is the box where the cable is located. Let's open this up. So immediately you will get a USB-C to USB-A cable, and I guess this is for charging the controller, and also connecting this controller via wire connection to your PC or Nintendo Switch. I'm gonna set this over here to the side. And it looks like you get joysticks. It looks like you get 2 more of these button things, a D-pad, and 2 little 8-way octagon D-pads and a dongle. Let's actually open this up. Let's take this plastic off. So Looks like these are the different joystick sizes. So this one actually looks the same. Yep, there is a huge difference. If you can't see, I think this is like the 6mm one and this is the 10mm, which means I guess the controller, yep, the controller has 8mm. So let me do this real quick. Yep, so you have 6mm, 8mm, 10mm. So that's pretty cool. I will put these back for now and put the regular joysticks back on. And I also kind of like the fact that they're actually like on the joystick, because on the original Zeus controller, like you can pull this off and then these two were like separate things rather than it being one thing. And I was worried about how easy it is that you could lose this stuff. So the fact that they made it into like one piece is actually really cool. I appreciate that. Let's see what else you get. So it looks like you get these modules, which are, they're different. So this one has a tactile click to it. So this one is definitely mechanical key, and this one is not, which means, hold on. Oh, so this one has more of a clicky. This one is definitely a shorter range for the mechanical click. And this one is for regular buttons if you are just someone who needs regular buttons. So that is, wow. Definitely can see that. So that's kind of different. So you can change out the type of buttons that you have. You also, wait, hold on. Let me get this. I got it. It got the wrapper off. You also get this 2.4 gigahertz USB dongle. It looks a little different compared to the old Zeus dongle. So I wonder if the dongle only works for the Zeus 2 and not for the Zeus 1, but yeah, here's a dongle right here. Put that to the side. Let's see, you also get a D-pad, if I can get this out. All right, so it looks like you get another D-pad, and the one thing I noticed about this is that the D-pad on here is plastic. This D-pad is actually like a lead metal type, so it definitely has some weight to it. So it looks like you can change out the plastic one with the metal one. Ooh, drop that. And speaking of which, you also can take off the shell. So let's take the shell off. And it looks like, oh, so you do have switches here for you to take off the buttons, but let's work on the D-pad right now. I wonder, yep, that's the D-pad, and you can put, wait, its metal one's like kind of magnet. There we go. Wait, I think, nope. Here it is right here. Follow the grooves right here, goes on the top. Yep. So that's how that works. Let's actually take this off. If I can get this off. There we go. Let's add the octagon / 8-way and see how that works. All right, so this is the plastic one. The octagon, it works very well. It has a nice little roll to it. So that's cool. Going to changing out the ABXY, I think you kind of can push this in and maybe it comes out. No? Hold on. Okay guys, so I figured it out. So what you have to do is you have to wedge your fingers inside this little hole in this side right here. And then when you wedge your fingers in, you can pull it out. Now, it is a little difficult because if you have someone with fat fingers, you're gonna have a hard time wedging into here. But yeah, you can pull out the ABXY, put to the side, and say for instance, you want something with a regular buttons, you can slide that in and there you go. You now have your regular ABXY. Also, if you do have the octagon D-pad, it looks like you can't put the shell back on. So what you're gonna have to do is, if you have the octagon D-pad, you're gonna have to pull this thing out, put the controller on first. I mean, put the shell on first, and then you can put on the octagon D-pad, which actually I'm gonna put on the metal one because I think this one's gonna be my favorite one. Or the metal, lead, whatever you wanna call it. Yep, so, yeah, so this is the controller right here, the Beitong Zeus 2 controller, which is Beitong's new flagship controller. And I have to say, like, it definitely is an upgrade compared to the original Zeus controller. I definitely like the side grips. The programmable buttons are still there, which is still easy to reach. The joysticks definitely have a much more grip compared to the old ones, and the D-pad is it's really nice. The little octagon D-pad is really cool, and the fact that you could change out the A, B, X, Y buttons to mechanical keys to regular keys is a cool thing. So without further ado, let's actually go into testing the joystick accuracy, the input latency, and just use this controller for video games and stuff, because I'm really curious now. This so far feels like a true upgrade to the original Zeus controller. So let's get into the video. All right, guys, so here we are on Gamepad Tester, and right now I have the controller hooked up to my PC using the USB dongle. And we're going to do 1,000 sample tests to test out the input latency of this controller. So without further ado, let's give this a roll. Get my thumb ready. And here we go. See a lot of sevens, couple of errors right there. Couple of errors, a lot of sevens. And it looks like we got a pulling rate of 6.63. Sorry, average input latency of 6.63 milliseconds with a pulling rate of 150. Interesting. Maximum is 11. Minimum is 3.6, which actually that's pretty decent average. Going up this thing, I see a lot of sevens, a lot of threes, and a couple of 11 input latencies here and there. But overall, I have to say, like, this is pretty decent for a dongle. This is really good. Okay, then let me hook up the controller via wire connection. Let's see how that input latency test goes. All right, guys, so here we are with the controller hooked up with a wire connection. So let's test the input latency with the wire connection. All right, I see a lot of 3.8, 3.9s. And there we go. We got our average of 3.92 milliseconds input latency with a pulling rate of 255. And as you see with the wire connection, this is actually really good. I really do like it. Like this a lot. It looks really great to see the wire connection has a very stable connection. Hey guys, so this controller also supports Bluetooth 5.0, and it gives you the option to pair your controller to your PC or Nintendo Switch using Bluetooth 5.0. But before I get into the input latency test, I just want to show you real quick how to pair the controller to your computer or Nintendo Switch. So what you want to do is you actually want to hold this FN button, and you want to hold the right bumper, and then you want to flip the switch on, which I can reach it. There we go. So with that being done, you will see that the controller will blink really fast, and you will see that this Beitong T9BFM will pop up. You do not want to do that. What you actually want is the Xbox 360 controller to pop up, which is Xbox wireless controller right here. This is what you want to click on. And once you click on it, your controller is now connected. So as you see, it's as an X input device. Now, just to let you know, when you do connect your controller through Bluetooth 5.0, you lose access to the 3.5mm jack for headphones, and you lose access to the AI button. But without further ado, let's get into testing the input latency. All right, guys, so here we are back at the input latency test. So right now I have this controller connected to my PC via Bluetooth. So let's see what the input latency is for Bluetooth. All right, it is a little all over the place, but I'm seeing a lot of 4s, a lot of 1s. The pulling rate is average of 5.37 with a pulling rate of 1.86 with 4 outliers of 32 milliseconds, 28, 16, and 16. And going through this, it looks like it's trying to keep a stable 4, but then it like jumps up to 1 input latency, then it goes back down to 6 input latency. So yeah, it's slightly better than the dongle settings, but honestly, I would probably use the dongle because I don't want to lose access to the headphone jack or the AI button feature. So yeah, that's the input latency for Bluetooth. All right, guys, so here we are on Gamepad Tester, about to test the accuracy of the joystick. So as you see, I have the controller right here. It's all the buttons are responsive, no problem. And as you see, you got the joysticks. Now, it looks like the joysticks are actually falling back down to the center of 00002. But actually, if you check in the software, which I'll show you later on, you will see that the dead zone modes for each of these joysticks will be set by default to 10% dead zone mode. I actually have lowered this all the way down to 4% dead zone mode, which is why the joysticks look like they fall right in the center.
But if you want to see the true value, I can just, all I have to do is go to my second profile where I have 0 dead zone mode on. And there you go. You now have the true value of each of the joysticks. But without further ado, let's do a joystick accuracy test and let's see how accurate these joysticks really are. So do a quick test. All right, so I got 0.8 for both of these joysticks, which is actually really good. So that just lets me know that this controller has some very, very accurate joysticks, and also lets me know, and also lets you know, even though that at the beginning when you get this controller tested, it may say it's in the center, but it just lets you know that it does have dead zone modes already preset to around 10%, which it seems a lot, but it's actually not that big of a deal, or not a lot as I thought it was. But I have set mine all the way down to 4%, and as you see, this was like the best, like closest I can get without having no interference whatsoever. So without further ado, let's actually get into the software since I mentioned it so much. Of course, the Beitong Zeus 2 controller is compatible with the Beitong game app, just like all the other Beitong controllers. With this app, you can customize the lighting settings for this controller, and you're also able to adjust the brightness, the blinking frequency, and also you can adjust the vibration sensitivity of the triggers. You can also remap all the buttons on the controller, and yes, this actually does include mapping the buttons with keyboard keys, and you can set macros for the buttons as well, and that includes the back buttons as well. You can adjust the joystick sensitivity for the controller, so if you want to make the curvature more sensitive or if you want to make it less sensitive, you can do that for both sticks. You can control the gyro settings for this controller, so with just flipping this key right here, and as of right now, I have it set to where my left trigger is the gyro activation button, so that way every time I hold the left trigger down, I activate gyro mode. And that's just one of the things you can do with gyro. You can do it with the left or right stick, and you can enable any key on the controller to be the responsive gyro button for this controller. You also can set the mouse settings for this controller, so if you tap the FN button once, it will enable the mouse settings for you, and you can set whichever keys you want to be your left click and whichever keys you want to be your right click, and you can control the sensitivity of the mouse to make it go faster or slower. And last but not least, you can control the sound settings for this controller. So basically if you put in some headphones, you can adjust how the DP sounds with this, and also you can make your own custom DB sounds if you wanted to. You can also control the shortcut keys for the FN button, so FN and back will put you back on your desktop no matter what application you are in, and FN plus up and FN plus down will basically control the sound settings for your desktop. You can also recalibrate your joysticks here with joystick calibrations, and you can recalibrate your triggers with trigger calibrations, and you are also able to time for how long you want your controller to stay idle before it goes into sleep mode. And that's all the features of the app. Alright guys, so here we are in Monster Hunter World, and the reason why I brought you, Monster Hunter World, Monster Hunter Rise, and the reason why I brought you Monster Hunter Rise is because I wanted to show you this AI button feature for this controller. So if you notice how like the Xbox button has Xbox guide button, if you hit shift and tab on your keyboard, that opens up the Steam menu. Well, if you push the AI button, that opens up the Beitong AI wheel right here, so that will let you see, and the AI wheel that's on the far like right corner. And this does give you some interesting options. So it gives you screen capture, screen recording, allows you to take you to the official website, the Gamepad Assistant app, and also game acceleration, which honestly I don't know if it does anything. And it's kind of cool, but the only downside is that you guys can clearly see is the fact that I can still move my character while I have this menu open, which is kind of a nuisance. But there's also another thing you could do with the AI button. So if you actually double tap the AI button, you actually can take screenshots of your game, which I just took one right now. And if you hold it, you can start recording. As you can see now, I just opened up the recording, and all I have to do is just click the AI key and now it's recordings. So in some ways, this AI button is actually really cool, but this wheel, I don't know. I like it, but I don't like it because I can still move my character and interact with the video game while the wheel is open, which is like a downside for me. But the fact that I can do screen capture and screen recording with this click of a button is actually really cool. So I just wanted to show you what the AI button does and the AI wheel function. Okay, so after using this controller some time, I have to say, like, overall, I do think this is a really good controller for PC and Nintendo Switch. They definitely have upgraded based on the previous Zeus controller by adding 2 extra programmable buttons that you can do, the rubberized grip, and also having more accurate and more comfortable joysticks on the controller compared to the original Zeus controller. If I was to give this like a rating from like 1 through 10, this one's a little difficult for me because in a way, it is an upgrade to compare to the Zeus controller, but I'm gonna have to go with my gut. It's still an 8 out of 10 for me. So the thing about it is like, when I say 8 out of 10, picture the original Zeus controller like a 82, 83 out of 100, and picture the Zeus 2 controller as a 88, 89 out of 100. The controller is definitely an upgrade compared to the other Zeus controller, but there are some features that I didn't like that honestly would point out. Like, the one thing is like the AI button with the AI wheel is a cool feature, but again, you still are doing all your inputs while you have the wheel open in your video game, which I honestly didn't like. And another thing about it is that I haven't noticed this before with the original Zeus controller, but with this controller, the back buttons are a little too close together, and then when I switch my middle finger between the 2 buttons, my finger rubs like around this area of the controller, which is causing like a little bit of slight discomfort. It's a small gripe, but other than that, like, this controller is a solid controller. Definitely an amazing upgrade. Also, I do like the modules. I do like you can change out the D-pad. Joysticks are definitely an upgrade, and all the cool features that add onto this controller are honestly an upgrade. And also the trigger stoppers are pretty decent. They only stop at 30% of the way, so it's like a 60% pull. But at the same time, like, as time goes on, the standards of controllers have been going up, and it is a solid option, as I will say, and it's a well quality built controller. But there are other controllers out there that have been giving this controller a good run for its money. So I would definitely say the Beitong Zeus 2 controller is also a solid 8 out of 10, but it's more so like a 88, 89, like a B+. So there you have it. All right, guys, so that is it for this video. If you found this video very helpful and deciding if you want to get the Zeus 2 controller, you should do me a favor and hit that like button for me. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that notification bell. I am still working on a couple of different controller reviews as of right now, so you should be able to see some coming up shortly, maybe within like 2 weeks from the time this video is uploaded. So until then, and guys, enjoy yourselves, keep on gaming, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.